I recently received a letter from Brent in Hollywood who wrote, "It is wrong to hold our country and our economy hostage to an extreme agenda. They're willing to sacrifice our fragile economic recovery, America's creditworthiness, and essential government services if they don't get their way." Brent, I think you're right. Earlier this month, the House majority failed to fulfill one of Congress' most basic obligations, to keep the lights on and the doors open, resulting in the first government shutdown since 1996. And now those same members of Congress are talking about defaulting on the United States debt by refusing to raise the debt ceiling because they don't think it's necessary and don't see the harm. Some have even gone as far as to say that it would bring stability to world markets. They're playing Russian roulette with the economy, and it's gone on long enough. The debt ceiling, for those unfamiliar with the term, is the statutory limit of borrowing that must be raised if the federal government is to have the capacity to pay its bills. It's not about approving new spending or new programs. It is about paying the bills you've already incurred. Economists agree that not raising the debt ceiling and defaulting on our obligations to bondholders, not to mention Social Security recipients, our military, and many other priorities, could freeze credit markets, cause the dollar to plummet, and dramatically increase our borrowing costs. This is something that would have a huge impact on households across our nation and could send our economy back into a recession. And it's completely avoidable if we just do the responsible thing. These political games are crazy, and they have just got to stop. A highly respected independent economist recently estimated that the repeated shutdowns over budgetary issues over the past 2 years have cost the economy 1 million jobs. In my view, if Congress can't take measures to affirmatively create jobs and support the recovery, it should at least get out of the way. Our nation's long-term deficit is indeed a serious problem, and one that requires a bipartisan solution. But that doesn't mean that because of one party's intransigence, we should default on our debts or keep the government closed down. For those who ask, aren't both sides responsible for the impasse? Or who ask, why hasn't the president been willing to give? Let me just point out that he has, and to a painful degree. In the talks over the budget at the beginning of this crisis, the president and Democrats agreed to accept the GOP spending levels. These post-sequester levels reflect deeply painful cuts, and in my view are not only harmful, but bad economics and hurt our recovery. But those levels were accepted to avoid this hurtful shutdown, and still a small group of members in the House insist on more in order to open the government or avoid default. This must end. We have to stop these political games over the nation's budget and put the country and its citizens back to work.